Hi, the most important thing about the gradebook is that the syllabus and the gradebook must match. That is as much for your students' benefit and yours as it is for the auditors. Now, when I say match, I mean match. It has to exactly match wording, pluralization, and percentage. Now, the only exceptions are the assignment category and the test category because those are system categories and cannot be edited. It is not advisable that you make your own category called assignments, plural, because it is very easy to get those mixed up visually when you're in a rush and you're having to place things in a category. And remember, Blackboard will automatically assign anything with a submission as an assignment and anything with questions as a test. So you can see here the example course that was used in this training shell. This is the excerpt from the syllabus, and you can see it has these percentages that add up to 100%. And here are those same categories in the gradebook where you can edit your weighted course average column, your weighted column. They have the same percentages that add up to 100%. Now, that's just the first step. There really are 3 other questions you need to answer when you are setting up your gradebook. The first is which type of in-category weighting. You can see here that it says weight columns equally or proportionally. And that is totally up to you. If you have equal assignment weighting, that means an assignment is just worth an assignment. That it doesn't matter how many points they are worth, they all are weighted equally. That's very helpful if you use a lot of quiz type assignments and you make all of the questions worth the same number of points. And so each quiz may be worth a different value. But you have to communicate to your students that those point values don't matter, that each quiz is weighted equally in the quiz category. This is something you do need to explain to your students in your syllabus. If you choose proportional assignment weighting inside the category, then that is the whole idea that a point is a point. Assignments with different maximum scores are treated as having different weights by the algorithm. So that's your first question. Your second question is, are you going to drop any scores? And if you do decide to drop scores, please keep in mind that if you use this drop grades, drop lowest grade, it's very tempting to click that button. However, Blackboard looks for the lowest numerator and the lowest denominator. And you can see in this example here, I just made up some assignments that were all in the same category, earned points, possible points, and then what percentage that would be. Blackboard would choose to drop a different one than most teachers. Most teachers, the whole point of dropping is that it improves your grade the most. But the way that Blackboard does it, they look for not just the lowest numerator. If there are 2 numerators that are the same, in other words, the earned points are the same, such as in this case, they would choose the 4 out of 10 to drop, when really it needs to be the 4 out of 15, because that's the lower percentage, if you want to do impact. It does improve their grade. It just does not improve their grade as much as if you had done it manually. If you would choose to do it manually, you would do that by exempting that grade for that student. The third type of decision you need to make when you are setting up your weighted column is if you are going to use the running total or not. The default is that you do. That only looks at things that have been turned in. It ignores everything that has not been turned in. That means that if a deadline passes, the student will no longer see that assignment on their calendar or listed in my grades unless you put in a manual 0. They will not know that they have missed the assignment unless they've been keeping track separately. If you select no, then everything that has not been completed becomes a 0. That's fine if you don't have all of your assignments created in the shell, but if you do, then it acts almost like a thermometer, starting at 0 at the beginning of the semester when nothing has been turned in, and it's essentially progress through the course. However, it is very rarely used, and so when students see that after they turn in some assignments and get 100% on them, they only have a 15% grade in the course, they get a little upset. So be sure that you explain it very carefully in your syllabus and in class, because there will be questions later, and they will be panicked questions. One idea is to have both in your gradebook at the same time. A weighted column average that shows only what has been completed, and a weighted column average that shows the progress through the course. It's up to you. On the back end, there are things that you can do to make your life in the column organization page a little bit easier. This will actually make your life easier on the gradebook as well. And that is to freeze by dragging up the important things that you always want to see about each student. You're always going to need their username if you want to email them off Blackboard. Remember, Blackboard has that really long prefix in the subject line, so sometimes it gets sent to spam, and sometimes students just don't realize what it is. You always want to keep their weighted average front and center. Other important things are their last access. That is very important in terms of determining if they're engaging with the shell appropriately, and also their student ID, so that you can very quickly look them up in Colleague to see how they've done in previous semesters or similar courses. The availability and the total columns probably should remain hidden, and that would hide them for you and your students. However, you could use the total column in place of that running totals no column. That way your students could also see the number of points that they've completed out of the number of points in the whole course. Again, that is something that you would need to explain to them, because that doesn't include any weighting. It is just the number of points earned out of all of the number of possible points in the course. Tip number 2, don't use grading periods. They were designed for elementary school teachers, and because we copy our courses semester to semester, it does complicate things a bit to have them in previous grading periods. So it's best just not to use them. Tip number 3, when you organize your column list in column organization, it apparently also sets that up in My Grades. I have not personally been able to replicate this, but other people have. So it may be just under certain circumstances that it works. I'm not sure, but it's better safe than sorry. So organize your stuff. Now, the best way to keep track of your grades and to safeguard them against any disruptions of the connection to Blackboard is to download your grade center periodically. The full grade center, you want comma delimited, tab delimited sometimes doesn't work, and go to My Computer, and there it is, and you can download it and put it wherever you want. Then you can use Excel to calculate those dropped grades. If you have any questions about the gradebook, please contact the LSID team. They are the experts. Thanks.